Hi everyone and welcome to my Minecraft Cherry Tree Secondary School. And this is a result of my thesis where I interviewed autistic young people and secondary school staff about how to make the secondary school environment more sensory friendly and reduce sensory discomfort, sensory masking and sensory exclusion. So firstly, this school has staggered arrival times for different year groups just to avoid the communal areas becoming extra busy and noisy where possible. We go through to the reception area and we've tried to make this really homely and welcoming and less clinical, which a lot of participants said secondary schools can be, just with lots of soft furnishings and a bit of colour but not too much. It was also really important to incorporate a lot of natural lighting, which is why there's a lot of windows in this school. And as you come through to the canteen, you can see we've got staggered lunch times for the different year groups. And again, this is just to avoid the canteen becoming too busy and noisy at certain times. And as you can see, there's also a lot of space. There's no narrow corridors in this school. The food options will also be as consistent as possible. So there's always regular items for any pupils with food sensitivities and selectivities. And then I've also built a little small offshoot canteen if pupils just want to get away from the noise and busyness of the canteen, so they can eat their lunch in here with their friends. And also this is a private separate staircase to the main staircase on the other side of the school, again to avoid any busyness. There are some lockers, again there's a lot of space to access them, and there's some ice and water dispensers everywhere in the school. A lot of children don't drink enough, so this can encourage that. And also the ice, a lot of children said they like crunching on the ice to kind of regulate their emotions and their sensitivities. And this is the SEND support room. The children can come if they need a little extra help with their work. And then there's a little quiet room where they can shut off and just sit on the sofa and look out the window and do some reading or whatever. And we'll go along now to one of the sensory rooms, and this is the alerting sensory room. If you want that increase in movement or visual stimulation or noise, this is where to go. And there's zones of regulation on the wall to help children to understand and regulate their emotions. But yeah, as you can see, there's lots of light in here and bells and trampolines, all sorts of things like that. Again, more water dispensers and single toilets to avoid the smelly, busy toilets, which children said they actively avoid all day, so don't eat or drink all day just to avoid the toilets. There's lots of single toilets. So this is an example of a classroom, so geography, and as you can see there's not too much on the wall, so it's quite neutral, it's not very cluttered. And at the back here you've got a selection of sensory tools that children can choose from. And as you can see, there's a little fidget toilet someone's put on their desk there. And a fan was really important for that constant background noise. So a lot of children said they don't like silence. Ear defenders on the wall there, which is throughout the school, where children just can pick them off and use them when they need. This is the English classroom, and as you can see, it's a very similar layout, just to help that consistency and predictability and to get children used to the layout and the feel of the furniture. And that is a really key finding, to have more comfortable furniture, as that can really distract children with sensory sensitivities. And there's a staff wellbeing room, as if the staff aren't regulated, they won't be able to help regulate the children. And the library. As you can see, there's lots of natural lighting with the skylights there, and there's lots of little nooks that children can relax in comfortable seating and read a book in the quiet. There's also lots of blinds and dimmer switches everywhere in the school if it does get a little bit too bright. We're going to the school hall, so there's some single changing rooms if you want to avoid the main communal one if it's too smelly or overcrowded. And again, there's ear defenders which can be used in assembly. Okay, back downstairs, and there's more single toilets and changing rooms, and there's an empty fish tank which needs to be filled. Lots of hand sanitizers everywhere. And these are the main communal toilets, and the main thing is there's lots of air fresheners and it's frequently cleaned, and also the children can try out the air fresheners so they're not overwhelming as well. And then we'll go down the corridor to the calming sensory room and dog therapy room. Oh, very eager to say hello. So yeah, this room's a little bit more relaxing to help calm down any sensory overwhelm. Obviously you've got the dogs to help regulate, and there's a sand pit. Just dim lighting, and there's speakers for any relaxing background music like nature sounds, bird tweets, children said. And then there's the zones regulation again, and lots of sensory tools and soft furnishings. And then we come outside. Nature was a key finding in the study. Children said they just want more access to the outdoors and access to ponds, which they find really tranquil and calming. And then we've got 2 visitors at the minute. We've got 2 little alpacas, Elton and John, in a little tulip garden. And there can be interventions in these little spaces. And this is a structured playground that participants said they'd like more of in secondary school, like in primary school, just to get more of that vestibular and proprioception input. So we've got a trampoline, a swing and a climbing frame. And then we've got a greenhouse, a little gardening club to grow some fruit and vegetables, and a sand pit, mud pit and water pit for that sensory input. And there's a chicken coop, again for interventions. You can help look after the chickens. Lots of children suggested a lot more time with animals. And also lots of no littering signs, as that bothered quite a lot of the participants. And lots of benches to enjoy the view of nature. And yeah, that brings me to the end of my little tour of a sensory-friendly secondary school based on the ideas of autistic young people. Thank you for listening.